So Columbus comes over, he discovers America, and shortly after that, when he discovered, he marks the European discovery of America. Of course, there were indigenous people here, and he called them Indians because he thought he was in India. He wasn't really in India, he was in America. But because he called them Indians, it stuck. And so the American Indian is still called the American Indian, even though he's just simply the Native American. And when we say Native American in America, in North America, we think of the American Indians like the Seminoles, being from this part of the world, or the Hopi, or the Cherokee. But you know, there was Native American tribes in Mexico. There was Native American tribes in South America, as well as the islands. And that's what we want to talk about today. So we want to know who led the Aztecs, who conquered the Aztecs, who led the Inca, and who conquered the Inca. Of course, these two words, Aztec and Inca, are words that are used to describe tribes of people that lived in the Americas before the Europeans came. Certainly if you're present in class today, you can take notes if you like. You're going to have to watch these videos anyway. So let's just look at this map. This is the Aztec Empire before it was conquered by the Europeans. Now you notice that the Mayas, I've actually been here, pretty cool. I got to see some Mayan ruins, some old buildings that they had built. But the Mayas were over here. They were conquered by the Spanish. But all this giant territory here in what we call the Central Mexican Valley, and you know that it's the Central Mexican Valley because you have the Sierra Madre Occidental and the Sierra Madre Oriental. The Oriental is on the east, and the western mountains, the Occidental, are on the west. And so in between those two mountain ranges, it forms a valley. And that's where Mexico City is now, but it was not always called Mexico City. It was called Tenochtitlan, and I can't even say it right, much less spell it. But it was the ancient capital city of the Aztecs. Let's see if we can find it on this map. Maybe we can. Yes, here it is, right here. In the middle of this giant lake here, they had built kind of an island capital city. It's a magnificent place. So we're told. We have no idea because the Spanish completely destroyed it when they conquered the Aztecs. But what you need to know is who led the Aztecs. This guy named Montezuma, and I think it's got two M's. The second, of course, he was junior, right? His father would have been Montezuma the first. Oh, only one M. Montezuma the second, and Montezuma and his people are conquered by a man by the name of, I want to get a spelling right. Yep. My students always fool me. I've been studying this stuff. I specialized in it in college. And my students are always like, it's Herman! And I'm like, no, it's not. It's Hernan. Anyway, Hernan Cortez. And you can spell this with a Z or an S. I spell it with a Z. Cortez. So remember, Montezuma leads the Aztecs. Cortez leads the Spanish. And the Spanish conquered the Aztecs in 1521. Long time ago. Who led the Inca? Who conquered the Inca? Here we go. Guy by the name of, let's see, who led the Inca? And to get the spelling right. And this is a little bit harder of one to spell. Atahualpa. And yes, the T and the H are lowercase. That. Okay. And who conquers them? Pizarro. Oh, Francisco. I want his first name. Who conquers them? Francisco Pizarro. And basically, they're over in, I don't know, 1533. Because Pizarro has Atahualpa killed in 1533 after he steals most of the gold from this empire. And so both of these ancient civilizations are done in by the Europeans between 1521 and 1533. Now, why did the Europeans need to conquer these people? That's because they wanted their resources, and they knew as long as these people had an empire on this land, then they were going to get all the resources. And of course, the Europeans didn't just want land, they wanted the resources that were on the land, so the people were kind of in the way. And so that's why we have these conquistadores, conquering the ancient peoples. Now, this next one's going to lead us, this question right here is pretty important too. What were some of the other results of the Europeans coming to the Americas besides just the end of the Aztec civilization, end of the Inca civilization? And that will be in part 2. So make sure you watch part 2.